The price seemed reasonable. Location, indifferent. The landlady swore she lived off premises. Nothing remained but self-confession. Madam, I warned, I hate a wasted journey. I am African. Silence. Silence transmission of pressurized good breeding. Voice, when it came, lipstick coated, long gold roll, cigarette holder pipe. Caught, I was foully.
How dark? I had not misheard. Are you light or very dark? Button B, button A. Stench of rancid bread of public hide and speak. Red boot, red pillar box, red double tired.
Omnibus squelching tar. It was real. Shame. By ill-mannered silence, surrender, pushed, dumbfoundment, to beg simplification, considerate she was, varying the emphasis.
Are you dark or very light? Revelation came. You mean like plain or milk chocolate? Her accent was clinical, crashing in its light impersonality. Rapidly, wavelength adjusted, I chose West African sepia, and as afterthought.
Down in my passport, silence for spectroscopic flight of fancy, till truthfulness changed her accent, hard on the mouthpiece.
What's that? Conceding. Don't know what that is. Like brunette.
That's dark, isn't it?
Not altogether. Facially, I am brunette. But madam, you should see the rest of me. Palm of my hand, soles of my feet, are a peroxide blonde, friction, cause foolishly madam, by sitting down has turned.
My bottom raven black. One moment, madam, sensing her receiver rearing on the thunderclap about my ears. Madam, I pleaded, wouldn't you rather see for yourself?
To further understand the poem Poetry by Wolsianka, let us answer the following questions in the discussion part. What is the theme of the poem Poetry by Wolsianka? The primary theme of telephone conversation is racism. In the poem, a black man tries to confirm a housing arrangement with the landlady over the phone. He wishes to inform the landlady that he is black, and a ridiculous conversation ensues regarding how dark his skin color is. The poem is a tongue-in-cheek statement on racism, with the speaker responding with sarcasm and humor to the landlady's insulting questions. The poem also emphasizes the lack of communication between different races. How is the landlady perceived by the man? Is the man's perception of the lady parallel with her behavior throughout the poem? The man perceived the landlady as a lipstick-coated, long gold rule, cigarette holder pipe. It is a kind of figure of speech which is specifically a metaphor, where it denotes that the woman seems to be wealthy and well-educated based on her tone of voice and way of speaking, since they both cannot see each other. There was also a line where the man described her as considerate, when in fact she was not. So in conclusion, the man perceived the lady in the poem positively, but is actually opposite with the attitude and behavior she has shown. The poet therefore used verbal irony, wherein the speaker said something that is contradicted with what is really on the speaker's mind.
How are the speaker's feelings conveyed to us throughout the poem? The speaker's feelings were conveyed through the words like dumbfoundment, which meant that the speaker was caught in surprise and shamed, which meant that he was embarrassed on the landlady's approach to his confession. The speaker is probably mad, which was shown by him using irony towards the landlady's questions. How do we know he is stung by the landlady's insensitivity? The speaker confuses the landlady, especially when the landlady was determined to the speaker's skin color. The speaker played with words. He described his skin as West African sepia and that he was facially brunette and that his palms and soles are peroxide blonde and his bottom is radiant black that was caused by friction. This led to even more confusion to the landlady.
What is the speaker's confession and how is it received by the landlady? The speaker has hope of being able to rent, but he is also aware of the racial prejudice or discrimination when it comes to things that involve skin color. Without hesitation, he confessed that he is an African, and by that, the landlady's tone suddenly changed. Instead of asking about things like income or work of the speaker, which is the usual thing to ask if you are looking for a potential tenant. The act of the landlady shows how dehumanizing she was, and by that, without saying a word, silence prevailed and the speaker is denied because of his skin color.
What do you think is the implication of the poem Telephone Conversation on the following? A. Racial conflict.
This is a poem that satirizes racism. The speaker, who is black, makes fun of a white landlady who won't rent to the speaker until she knows whether the speaker's skin is dark or light. In contrast to the landlady's simple, reductive ideas about race, the speaker suggests that race and identity are complicated and multi-faced. The landlady is playing into the ignorant idea that black people with lighter skin are superior to those with darker skin.
Poetry and politics. The poem Telephone Conversation depicts that the poets in some parts of the world or of certain ethnic or racial backgrounds do not get to choose one side of the divide, which imply that they have to stay within their limits that the political social entity set upon them. The politics behind the words dark and light, for instance, are partly the pressures that threaten to fragment a community, and that resist a spirit or imagination that aims to promote a sense of wholeness and integrity.
The Telephone Conversation by Wool Soyinka gives emphasis on our recognizable differences in the color of our skin. The African man is looking for a house, and the landlady has proposed a considerable price. But after he mentioned that he is black, the landlady asked him to define his color. The African now shouts out loud, saying that he is black and doesn't need to be put in shame. He also says that the soles of his feet and the palms of his hands are all white. He makes a desperate and silly attempt to plead for her to come and take a good look at him, but could not help the situation from getting worse.